Thank you, Presiding Officer. The European and External Relations Committee took evidence last week from the Lithuanian Ambassador, Asta Liushkeni, on Lithuania's priorities for the presidency of the EU. And I was very pleased to hear that economic growth and employment were at the core of their priorities, and youth employment and youth employability is of great concern. We welcome the Ambassador's acknowledgement of the work being done in Scotland to tackle the issue, and she recognised the contribution of our Minister for Youth Employment, Angela Constance, in actually taking our case to Europe at committee level, and that was to be welcomed. So I'm very glad to be called today, because I think that's hugely important as we discuss the Commission for Developing Scotland's Young Workforce Interim Report. And I was very glad that the Wood Report sets out what we are doing in Scotland at the moment. We're not standing still by any means in this area, and the Curriculum for Excellence in School is being embedded and rolled out across our schools, and that's a hugely important change to the way we educate our young people. And also the regionalisation of our colleges has also given us a focus and the ability to secure better outcomes across regions. And of course the greatest focus on our modern apprenticeships, which are very popular and seem to have been very successful in widening apprenticeships across different sectors and are in great demand in our economy. And also the commitment by this government for the opportunities for all in a place of learning for all 16 to 19-year-olds not in employment, education or training. So we're in a very, very good position to be examining these issues at this point in time. I would like to have addressed all of the recommendations, but I don't think I'll have time to do that this afternoon. So I will do them by jumping to the very end, to the area that is of particular interest to me as someone who worked in the IT industry for 20 years and has a specific interest in STEM areas. And I was really glad to see that the recommendation 11 is that a focus on STEM should sit at the heart of the development of Scotland's young workforce. And I think this is a really, really important point. However, we have to also consider that we do have issues in Scotland on this area. The Royal Society of Scotland's report, Tapping All Our Talents, looked at women in STEM subjects and the issue that even people who train in STEM subjects, women often leave the workplace later on. And it's a very complex area, and I think there is work still to be done in this area. I'm very glad that STEM ambassadors are being deployed in schools to try and engage young people, especially young women, in careers in this area. And the Cabinet Secretariat Committee this morning reminded us that 1 in 5 higher education places is delivered by our colleges, and that funding and research and development are going to be key as we move forward. It was very welcoming to see that Scotland has 4 of the top universities in the top 100 in the world. And it's interesting that Sweden have this same ranking. However, Scotland tends to follow what the UK spending is on research and development, which sits at 1.7% of GDP, whereas Sweden, as an independent nation, have a spending of 3.4% of GDP. And I think in everything that we should do, we should be considering that what the opportunities of independence could give us in moving towards the European target of 3% of GDP, because this is certainly an area in which the UK is underperforming. I also have a concern about where we are with our colleges at the moment, and obviously this debate is about the future. But if we look at the college performance indicators from the Scottish Funding Council published in March in 2013, these are very encouraging in the areas of computing and ICT, where we have, and in engineering especially, where we have a 75% completed successful outcomes there. But in science, it is at the lowest level at 52% of completed successful areas, and only 74% complete partial success, and also one of the lowest rates of uptakes in terms of the HMIE subject groupings for courses lasting 160 hours or more. Yes, certainly. Kezia Dugdale.
I welcome the member's concerns about colleges. I wonder if she shares the concern with Joanne Lamont around the fall in the number of women and part-time students at colleges across Scotland.
Clare Adamson, you're approaching your last minute.
Well, I think we have been discussing that at committee, and we've also been looking at this area. And I do think that in the current climate, that the focus on young people in the age group that we've been concerning is absolutely the right decision that the government will take to focus on these areas. I can't go into all of the key recommendations, but I do think that we're on very good footing. If we look at recommendation number 10, the support for young people at risk of disengaging from education, is a focus, and this is a hugely concerning area because these are the most hard to reach young people that we have. And I would like to put on record how grateful I am that we did pass the bill last year on the college regionalisation, that we included the data sharing aspect, which for the first time gives us an opportunity to look at the destinations of our young people and gives an opportunity to actually engage with them at an earlier point in their careers in actually keeping them on the right pathway or a changed pathway, but either of which would lead for a better outcome for them in the long run. So I welcome the report and I welcome the government's response this afternoon. Thank you.
Many thanks.